Hi and welcome to this presentation. I am John Ekman, the founder of Conversionista and a partner in the ARC Group. And I also have two little helpers here, the conversion superheroes. Welcome. We're going to be talking about making your visitors stay, pay, and come back. And I've added a cool little subtitle here, 8 hot test strategies. So we are trying to give you some really hands-on practical tips and cases of experiments and A/B tests that we have seen have been working for us, and why shouldn't you try them in case you haven't tried them already. Let's begin with a black box. The black box of analytics and optimization. A lot of website owners, they see their optimization problem as a bunch of visitors coming into the websites, and then they got some conversions in the other end, and they have a black box in the middle. Now our job is to open this black box and see what's inside it. And there are many ways to try to construct one of these funnels, like an e-commerce funnel, a lead gen funnel, and so on. But a very, very basic approach to it is to use these 3 simple steps that we call make your visitors stay, pay, aka convert, and come back. So this will be the structure for our little talk here today, and we're going to give you, like I said, a couple of very hands-on tips in each of these 3 steps. So let's begin here. You should use data and experiment to find out what users are paying attention to, because people come to your website, it's like they have an attention budget, and now you have to be really careful at directing that budget to wherever it's most important for you. Here's an example from a webinar that I did with Optimizely, where they were optimizing this little banner. You can see the blue square around the shipping and no hassle returns and so on. They had a very good result. But when I saw this, I was thinking, like, why didn't they think of like optimizing the whole thing? There's so much competition for the user attention. Look, there are 4 levels of navigation here. So instead of trying to micro optimize like this, maybe you should go for like a bigger goal. Here's a test that we did for ICA, and they had a new very dark red brand color that you can see here, which they used as the background in the search field because it was going to be the new brand style of ICA. And we said, well, that looks nice, but most people would expect the search field to have probably a more high contrasting white background. So we want to test that and see if it can have a result on searches and conversions. And we fought against the brand police, and we finally, after quite a long time, actually were able to do this test after a lot of resistance. And it showed that we were able to deliver 16% more searches and a conversion rate increase of 6%, just by making it more obvious how you should search on this website. And I like to take inspiration from this book by Nick Kolenda. Imagine reading this book. It's a very funny title of a book. But he says that if I can see myself doing it, I probably want to do it. So how we humans work, or how our brains work, is that when we see the search field, I can see myself searching, and therefore probably I want to search. So we get these 2 things kind of confused. So takeaway number 1 is to make search visible and easily accessible. Now, if that's what you want to do, you want people to search. If there's another function, make it visible and easy accessible. Cool. Let's move to the next one. So what are visitors actually paying attention to? Here's an example from one of our clients where the management team and the digital team had been debating this start page. Should it be like 4 columns or 3 columns and a sidebar and whatnot? A lot of meeting hours, design suggestions, and so on went into this. And then finally, the new version was live, and our person that worked on the project went in and made heat maps from both the old version and the new version. And you can see here that people were basically not paying any attention to any of the content of the first version of the start page, or they didn't pay any attention to the second version of it either. They were paying attention to the header, the search field, and the navigation. So if that's what people are paying attention to, that's what you should be optimizing. And we did this in a case with another client. They want to be anonymous, and they had some products there, and I made a little joke here. So I called the products the Anlimerado and the Lucentia. And they also had showrooms. They have showrooms, but they don't want to say that because everybody has showrooms. So we want to make our showroom specials. So we call them, let's say we call them arenas instead. Oh, that's so much more inspiring. And we said, well, that is good, but if people come to your website and they're looking for the showrooms, maybe we should call it just that. And then We were fighting about this too. Finally got to do the test where we called it showrooms instead of arenas. And the result was that we had 53% more clicks and we had 35% more page views to this showroom website. And then we went back to the client and said, like, look at this great result we had. And then we bumped our head into the brand police that said, we don't care if 30% people less find this page because it is not on brand and it must be called arenas. Well, that thing can happen too, but then move on to the next test instead and don't cry over your lost battles. Takeaway number 2, test naming an order in navigation. That's pretty easy, right? Okay, here's another test that we did for Tele2. So you can see the left version, the A version here, is a little bit more functional. It's like, yeah, I just want to figure out if I can get a broadband. So I put in my address and my zip code, and then I can see if I can get broadband to my apartment or whatever it is. But then we're thinking like, maybe people need a little bit more inspiration, motivation. There are so many competitors. They all look alike. So we need to give people this feeling. I'm sitting in this room with a seaside view and I'm getting this like perfect broadband. And now that I can see that, I can see myself in this apartment. I want to check out if I can get that broadband. So these are 2 hypotheses and we tested them. And the winner was, with a 2% margin, the A version, the more functional version that outperformed the more inspirational version. Will this work for you? I don't know. That's why you should test it. Another example where basically the whole product page on an e-commerce site was redesigned. So you can see all the different elements that were touched here. And in summary, you can see what it looked like here on the desktop. You can see that we're adding a couple of more panels here with reviews and also more product details. They are actually available in the original as well, but they're hidden under these tabs. And the hypothesis here was that these content pieces are very important for the customer. And here's what it looked like on the mobile version, where you can see the top view on the right version here is a little bit more condensed. And the result here was that they had 11% more adds to cart with the new version and 15% more conversions. Now this was quite a big project, but basically they were working with content they already had. So they were just moving them around and trying to figure out which one influenced the behavior of the users on this website the most. So takeaway number 3, test to see what pulls visitors further into the website experience. Okay? Another classic, we tested this many times and we always win. Well, maybe not always, but most of the time at least. I think maybe even always. We call it picture price button, so it's a bit of a dad joke. Imagine people that come to your website, it's like they're looking at it through a toilet roll, so they have this very, very narrow field of vision. So the important elements, they need to be grouped very close together. It's the principle of proximity. And the 3 most important elements on an e-commerce product page is the picture of the product, the price, and the button where you add it to your cart. So you want to keep those really, really close, like we did in this case. And we had a 3-point-something increase in conversions and similar with add to cart. So if you haven't tested this already, you should do that. We did a similar test when I worked for a couple of years ago in Australia. You can see the control, the original here, had a very, very nice product image. So it was very, very image focused. But also some of these elements, the price and the button, they were not easy to see on the page and they were not easy to use. They were not all concentrated on the same page, on the same view on the mobile phone. So we made 2 variations, and the one that won was the variation number 2, where you can see all the elements in screen on your mobile phone. And we had 18% more adds to cart, and we had also importantly 50% less errors in size selection, because a very common problem on e-commerce sites is that people choose the wrong color, the wrong size, and so on, and then you get returns. So that was a very important metric for them as well. Takeaway number 4, test the PPP principle, aka proximity. With that, let's move on to the next session. Make them pay. Okay, guys, are you ready? Make them pay. Yeah, let's get that dough. Here we have a product page with Tele2, and now we want people to proceed to adding this product to the cart and proceed to the checkout. So we have 2 hypotheses here. Either way, you have the A hypothesis to the left here, where we are thinking that, like, don't make it cluttered, keep it very, very simple, don't have too much information. that causes cognitive overload. And then you have the B version where you're thinking like, maybe it's good for people to see what they're actually buying, some more detail here. You can see that's also actually available on the A version, but you need to click a little down button there to expand it. And the winner here was the B version with 4% more conversions. Will this work for you? Again, I don't know. Depending on your product, depending on your audience, you can see different things happening here. But you can see the elasticity you have here, how much you can move the needle. You can move it with 4% by choosing the right version. If you haven't tested this, you should do it. Another one from Seymour. People are starting a free trial and we need to pull 1 krona from the credit card. And people go crazy. They're like, oh, you said it was free, but you took 1 krona from my credit card. You bandits. So we added a text here that explained this process and we increased the conversion with 3%. And then we added in the second version another text where we said that you don't have to worry, your credit card is safe with dibs and so on. Now that added another 2 percentage points in conversions. Will that work for you? Well, here you need to be a little bit careful because sometimes when you talk about security and safety and so on for the consumers, the opposite things happen. Which basically is that, in Swedish we say, väck inte den björn som sover. It basically, people start thinking about security and safety. Well, I wasn't thinking about if my credit card was safe, but now I need to think about it, obviously, and maybe I should think about it twice, and I forget what I was doing, and then I don't convert, and so on. So you should really test this. Takeaway number 5, remove friction in the checkout. Okay, it was just Black Friday a little while ago, and now we're going into Christmas. So this is a good period to make tons of money with discounts. They will always make you money, right? Well, in this case, we work with a Spanish e-commerce site, and as you can see here, that they didn't have discounts. So we added a discount coupon field here. So they couldn't put in their discount coupon code and enjoy their discount and then proceed to convert and so on. Now, that didn't work because there were 7% more conversions with the page that didn't have the coupon code field. Actually, I threw you off here a bit because it was the opposite. They had the coupon code field and we removed it. So people that had a discount code couldn't even put it in there. So I guess a few people were very upset here. How can this be possible? Well, what happens here is that people that have a code, they will see the field, they will input it, and they will convert and they will be happy. But an even larger portion of the visitors, they won't have a coupon code. And now they can see the coupon code field. And because they can see it, according to what we said before, they can see themselves doing it, and therefore they want to do it. So now they will go out on the interwebs to look out for coupon codes. And then all of a sudden the kids come home from school, I forget where I was, and I go to a competitor, and that conversion is lost. Now, you can remove it completely. In this case, you can see that it's completely opened. It's a pretty standard way to do it. But you can also hide it just a little bit. So there's still a coupon code field here, but it's just hidden under this checkbox. And here it's hidden under a drop-down menu. So these are some really simple things that you should be doing if you haven't done it already. This is a test we've done many times, almost like the PPP principle. We basically never lose on this test. Takeaway number 6, remove the coupon code field or hide it slightly. With that, we go into the last section, make them come back. What do you see? Guys, you're excited? Yeah? Let's do it. Come on. Yeah, make them come back. Okay, here's a test that we did again for Seymour. They had monthly subscriptions, which you can see here in the original. And then you had the variation where we had yearly subscriptions. So we changed this, and basically the conversion rate didn't change. There were more monthly subscriptions, so they now went down with 16%, and the yearly subscriptions went up with 62%. But the game-changing thing here was that they made a lot more money on the yearly subscriptions because they have a much higher customer lifetime value. So you should also be thinking when you're testing this, takeaway number 7. Is it possible for you to move customers to products with a higher customer lifetime value? And if you don't know what the customer lifetime value is of your different services, your different products, then that is something you should start measuring, right? Okay, final one here. Can we get more customers to log in? We are at a disadvantage to the big tech platforms like Meta and Google that has tons of logged in users and is getting more and more hard to track users when they are not logged in. So is it possible even for us to get people to log in on our website? And as you can see here on NetOnNet, they had in their header something called My Pages. So we did a test where we changed this. In the top version here, you can see that we have the same layout, but we just say login instead of My Pages. And then we actually made it to a button in variant B, and then variant C, we took away this bar, so we made it just a plain gray heading there, or header it's called. Okay, which one won here? Well, all three of them won, but the one that won the most was the one in the middle with the button. I think that makes sense. It's just much more obvious that you can see the button, you see that you can log in, and therefore you want to log in, right? That's how it works. Kronans Apotek, we did the same thing. We did it in a slightly different way because now people have their prescriptions in their account. So we want people to log in because they can see their prescriptions and then they can, of course, order them. So after some people came to the website, we popped this pop-up here that said you can log in with a bank ID and then you can find your prescriptions. All right. On the desktop, we had 17% more logins when we did this, and we had 8% more conversions. It was apparently even more obvious on the mobile, where we had 44% more logins and we had 17% more conversions. So takeaway number 8 is very simple. Get visitors to log in, right? Okay, with that, we're going to the summary, guys. Okay, 8 hot test strategies to make users stay, pay, and come back. Use data and tests to find out what users are paying attention to. Make search visible and easily accessible. Test naming and order in navigation. Test the picture, price, and button principle. Test with content and order drives engagement. Test to see what pulls visitors further into the website. Remove friction in the checkout. And finally, get visitors to log in. I am John Ekman. I'm the founder of Conversionista, and you can grab me anytime at LinkedIn. There's an email address, of course, if you want to use that. So don't be afraid to reach out, ask more questions about these tests, about anything around CRO. And if you want to get a private session of what you just listened to, don't be afraid to reach out to me and see if we can come to you and do the session for your team, your digital team, your CRO team, your management team, whoever needs to hear it. I guess everybody, right, guys? Okay, with that, over from us, and enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for tuning in to this presentation.